My name's Joe Wakefield. I'm originally from a town in England called Cheltenham, which is better known for its horse racing as opposed to any action sports. We moved to Canada 8 years ago now, and this is me and my partner, and we became citizens 2 years ago. Yeah, it was a long road to get there, but well worth it. I didn't take up or even show an interest in mountain biking until just after COVID, which I believe a lot of people share that same story, the COVID boom. And yeah, got on a mountain bike, started to learn to ride, and realized that I was actually very interested in shooting the subject as well. Prior to that, I guess in total, I've been a photographer in some shape or form for like 10 years now, starting with like landscapes, traveling, snowboarding, and then ultimately to mountain biking. It just became all consuming. It truly did. Like, refined it, knew exactly what I wanted to shoot, and just threw caution to the wind and just went for it. And so far, it seems like it's going okay.
When you decided to jump with both feet, did you have that whim in yourself, like, oh man, I'm going to do it? No, I'm not. I'm going to do it. No, I'm not. And just kind of go back and forth, and then just said, forget it, I'm going at it?
Yeah, I guess so. It was just like this natural progression. It was so new to me. And I forgot to mention, so I live in Squamish right now, and we have just world-class riders. So it wasn't like a slow, gradual exposure to stuff. It was like, this is top tier, in your face, wow. And it was just captivating. And before I knew it, yeah, it was just like all I wanted to do. And it's not necessarily just about like the riding people are doing, but the people here is a very multinational place. And we've got young riders from like Slovenia, Czech, like Eastern Europe that are here. We have Chilean, Spanish, and everyone has their own story, different style, different backgrounds of riding, like disciplines, BMX, motocross. It's just this big melting pot of awesomeness, and I just wanted to be a part of it.
Man, I don't blame you. Squamish is a beautiful place. Yeah, I guess we're about an hour away from each other. I'm just in the valley. So, I mean, Squamish, you have every pro under the sun that's Canadian seems to be in Squamish right now, between Squamish and Whistler. How did you discover your style? How did you discover how you like to capture these moments? I see a lot of use of light.
I guess to begin with, it was shooting a lot of just friends, getting the foundations of shooting action sports. Like, snowboarding had similarities, but the lighting's different. Snowboarding, usually you're in like a bright setting, snow. Most of the time with mountain bike around here, it's like a dense forest, it's darker. So light plays a bigger factor for sure. And yeah, it was just like learning the fundamentals, getting the shutter speeds right, and just making sure you have crisp images to begin with. Then you start getting like, okay, so I can do this. How do I start to keep myself interested in the process? That's involving off-camera flashes, practicing panning shots. Like, there's different variations of just standard photography you can apply to mountain biking that, yeah, it just keeps that challenge going, and it's always a work in progress. So I think it's just that, yeah.
Being a Squamish local, do you have any people that you just love to shoot with because they understand your vision?
I don't think it's necessarily... It's strange. If you were to ask me if I had a style, I wouldn't necessarily, in my own mind, think I do. But I have been told that people can recognize my images, which is great. I love that. But yeah, it's more so the fact, like, the people I love to shoot with, there's maybe like 4 or 5 friends specifically that are fantastic riders. And the best photos you get are when you have that kind of relationship with a person where you can have that intimacy. They don't mind you putting your camera, like your fisheye, right in their face when they're pulling like a funny face or something. Like, yeah, they bring out the most authentic images. And so I just generally try and shoot friends and people that I know better.
Yeah, definitely. It takes it to the next level. You have that comfort with each other. You're able to be, like you said, a fisheye right in their face. They're not awkward because they know it's you. How do you find, like, traveling? Your Crankworks, obviously, you went to Red Bull Rampage. Do you work with brands when you do that, or is that all self-funded and then you hope to sell your images?
A lot of it has been self-funded. I get a lot of enjoyment, and I've had moderate success from then putting those photos into competitions, which, yeah, it just gets out to a broader audience. I guess this year particularly was the first time that it's become more brand centric. I was very fortunate just recently to have shot Crankworks on behalf of Pink Bike, and going forward, Rampage this year will be with Pink Bike. So yeah,
That's a
they're
cool
local to us,
for sure.
and yeah, I just truly appreciate that, because it's still doing what you love, but not as self-funded as previous. So that's nice.
That's for sure. I mean, having that little bit of backing probably
absolutely
takes some pressure off you. So when you were at Rampage this year, I know this year there was a big women's presence in the sport. It's blowing up. It's crazy. I heard a few stories from Sarah, from Bryn Mawr. What is your take on it? How awesome is it to see that these women are now getting the same opportunities as you?
Like I said to you, I've not been in the mountain bike scene too long. And so truth be told, I guess I don't truly understand the hardships and the comeuppance that the females have had in the sport. But like, to see last year, just like the audience reaction, the coverage, just what the capabilities of the riders. I think with the guys, it's been going for so long that they're at this complete, like, such a high level where, how do I explain it? Maybe you don't necessarily see like the inception and the fear as much. That the guys are just doing stuff that's kind of so out of the realm of the normal mountain biker. It's impressive, absolutely, and not to knock it, but with the ladies, like, it's just, you can see that it's raw. It's the emotions there. It was really cool to witness, and it was very cool to see, even in the media tent last year, just the female representation there from brands. Sarah, Ronya, a local photographer, like, they were all there to capture that first inception, and yeah, it was pretty special to be there and be a part of.
I bet, man. When I was talking with Sarah, I could see when she was starting to talk about the event, you could see it on her face how grand it actually was. How an amazing adventure it was. I mean, that's why we do what we do. It's for that adventure. It's for that constantly pushing our boundaries. And I mean, you're a new photographer. You and I started, it sounds like, roughly the same time. I started a year before COVID. So that's when I actually picked up a camera for the first time. And it's snowballed into where I am today doing, I mean, I love selling my landscape prints and doing that kind of stuff. But this year, I really wanted to focus on action sports photographers because I find it's stuff I love. So skateboarding, mountain biking, surfing, BMX. It's all stuff that's near and dear to me. It's stuff I've done my whole life. And now getting to talk to you and Sarah, and then some of these legendary surf photographers who are 50 years in the water. Like, it's just mind blowing. What are your plans for this year? Do you have like a set schedule of events? Or are you going to do some personal projects? Do you have a lot of brand work in the works?
I do really love personal projects within events. So Rampage will be the next big thing in October. And in a weird turn of events, in light of citizenship, that now opens the door for me to redo the New Zealand work visa. So I'm trying to go out to New Zealand January, February for the Magaza, Natural Selection, Crankworks, Rotorua. It's a work in progress, and nothing's confirmed, but in a perfect world, it would be like Rampage, then those 3 events going forwards. And when we get the changing of season here, I just love to do some like personal projects with riders, just local features, local riders, cool, moody settings, just mix it up and keep behind the camera.
And get that color, that British Columbia forest color. It's definitely different than anywhere else. I grew up in Oregon before I moved to Canada. And I mean, the mountains there are similar, but not the same. You know what I mean? You can tell a Mount Hood shot opposed to a Whistler shot for sure. But then when you look into the forest, they have that same moody darkness.
Yeah.
Everything's grabbing for light. It's an impressive thing. I mean, for me, I found a mountain bike in 1989, probably before a ton of my listeners were even born. You know, and we cut our handlebars down to like 12 inches or 13 inches. Everything was jammed close. and we went up and you'd ride ladies only on grouse. And you would ride with some of the icons of the sport today, and you were all laughing and just having a blast. And it's changed so much. I mean, bicycle technology has pushed the sport to areas and leaps and bounds of what I ever expected. I mean, it was full rigid to, you basically ride a couch down the mountain now. So it's neat. It's neat to see that crazy progression. So did mountain biking or outdoors bring you to British Columbia?
Yeah, absolutely. Initially it was snowboarding, but then we transitioned to mountain biking. But like, I just like on your previous point then about the mountain biking technology, this has been really cool for me to see because it's still relatively new to me. Going back and watching like the Anthill, the Collective films, and actually seeing what was capable on bikes in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, there's things that people were hitting back then that I haven't seen people hit now, and it's just testament to like, I don't know if it's pure skill, craziness, who knows, but you lived in that world on the North Shore, right? So
I think then the difference is everything that people was doing was so raw, like you said. It was new. Nobody really knew what these bikes could do because we didn't have buff trails, we didn't have jump trails. We had originals lady only, which was skinnies and big boulders and lots of roots. So we would just go and you just huck yourself and hold on for dear life. And we were doing it all on cantilever brakes. And then disc brakes came out 1999 or late 98 is when they started to show up on back in, man, I'm going to age myself, but back when I would go to Norbas, before it turned into into Grundig and then moved on to where we are now with Red Bull backing a ton of it. Cantilevers. And then the V-brakes came out and everybody was mind blown. And then Magura came out with their HS33 hydraulic rim brakes. In our climate, you'd go through a set of rims in one season because they were so powerful. And then the first disc brakes, it didn't work. Right. And then I remember in 2000, I rode a Intense M1, which was like the cream of the crop bike at the time. And now you look at that technology and you're like, how did I ride that thing?
yeah, I imagine that's where the term I heard only around here was the F around and find out term. It sounds like that was what was happening.
It was. It was really cool because we grew up, I grew up with Digger, being around Digger, him filming, him building trails. And, like Squamish is full of super smooth riders, things like that. But style really wasn't a thing until, I'm going to say, probably the mid 90s. From 89 till then, it was just, I survived the trail. So it's crazy to think where we're at now. No film anymore. You're hitting everything on digital. You're capturing these moments quickly. You've got some images on your site that just blow me away. Like the guy doing the drop with the sunset in the background. I love how you incorporate the landscape into your image. It's not just about the trick. It's about the whole scene.
Yeah.
And they really tell a story.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Was that something you started with? Like, did you really when you started this, were you like, okay, I want to capture it different. I want to capture it my way. I want people to see the beginning, the middle, and the end of the shot. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, like definitely. And it's been one thing that I've had to consciously work on is storytelling through images. So like I felt for whatever reason, maybe it was a background in landscape photography. I felt like for myself to get an image, a single image that looked nice. It wasn't easy by any means, but it sort of came a bit more naturally. But then to link a series of photos into a story and craft that narrative, that was something that took time to learn and to refine and figure that out. Because I guess with video, it kind of, I wouldn't say it's easier, but you can see from like start to end a continuous story arc, and but through photos, it's a snapshot in time as opposed to a duration of time. So to tell a story through photos seemed more difficult. So yeah, that's been the toughest thing to try and figure out. But hopefully we're getting somewhere with it.
You do great work. And that was something that drew me to your work. When I was starting to search for people to bring on for this next batch of recordings, I wanted the work to speak to me. I wanted me to be able to read a story in the image. And when I look at them and I'm like, okay, I can see where you set up. I can see how you shot it. That was important. When you're at an event, do you focus on certain riders, certain areas? Do you focus on, how do I word it? Are you always looking for the best light? Or are you just trying to shoot? And with today's technology, it's pretty easy to recover images. Do you just try to capture the moment and then worry about it later?
I think you're absolutely right. Like with technology, a massive element you can do in post to kind of correct it to how you might want it, but definitely consciously, I do try and look for the best lighting. Like one example that springs straight to mind right now is the whip off at this year's Crankworks, and they always hold it at sundown. It's just prime shooting conditions, golden hour. The riders are high, and like just positioning yourself in terms of the sun and the sunset to get the best shots with the best light lenses that you choose to use that day. And I think this year especially, I had this kind of conscious slight deterrent where the crowds were. I was like, oh, if I go there, like, sure, they've chose it because you'll get a fantastic shot. But if I do the same, is my image going to stand out or be any different? So I was trying to search for angles where there weren't people, see if it was working. And at one point, I was like, you know what? There's so many photographers here. I kind of want to showcase the photographers. So I just swiveled. I stopped shooting the jump and I started shooting the photographers shooting the jumps. And they loved it. Like photographers never get their photographs taken. So yeah, just kind of going with the flow, not pre-planning too much and just doing it by ear.
I was asked on a show about my preparation for some of my shots. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean by that.
Yeah.
My shots, like I'm not a press a button, spray and pray. I'm very much oh, that's cool. Click. All right, let's move on. Like I don't dwell over it. I'll look at it later, and if I like it, I keep it. If I don't, I move on. But being able to adapt, you saw that everybody was doing the same shot, everybody, and you're like, well, what can I do different? And then you capture the people who are capturing the moment. So that's really a cool way that you shifted. And I noticed you've got some stuff like, you do a lot of real close up in the goggles with the eyes, the intensity of the eyes. What made you draw into that? It's pretty impressive because you can see so much focus.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the riders I end up shooting are doing stuff that is, in my mind, what's on the edge of humanly possible, but I appreciate it's up there. It's just, the truth is, it was kind of a happy accident. I brought, for the first year to go to Rampage, I brought a 150 to 600mm lens. Fantastic for the event. And then I got back to Squamish and I was like, where on earth am I going to use this? And I was like, I'll zoom in on the goggles. And the nice thing is, even if it's not someone I don't necessarily know, you're so far away, they don't realize that you're taking a photo of them. So they act candid. They don't react awkwardly or see you. And you can just capture that fleeting moment where they're just like grabbing their handlebars, they're clipping in, and they're looking at that feature for the first time, and you can just snap that. And it's really cool. It was a happy accident.
Nothing wrong with happy accidents.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like I'm looking at, I believe it's Emil, I can't remember, it's Johansson.
Yeah.
It looks like he's getting ready to take off for his first run, and that focus in his eye. He's just got this dead stare. He has that course figured out in his head, and he just has to go out and stomp it. Now, as a fan of mountain biking, do you ever find that you miss shots because you're so amped on what you just saw?
Absolutely. Yeah. I
always wondered.
Yeah, most definitely. Like for the most part, when I'm at an event, maybe I freak people out, but I'll sit there looking through my viewfinder, just scanning. And I have like one eye on the crowd, one eye through the viewfinder. And I'm looking for somebody to crack a laugh or a smile or interactions and then quickly move the camera to shoot them. And just this last year with Van Steenbergen doing that huge, I think, what was it, 100-foot, 110-foot front flip, I was just like focused on, I got a feeling something was going to happen. I didn't know that was actually what was about to be thrown down, but I was shooting the crowd and like the anticipation of the people that probably knew he was going to do it. And then I missed him actually doing it. And I was like, oh, well, okay, sera.
I had a moment. I don't shoot weddings very often, but I shot one for a friend. And a seaplane was coming in to land on the lake. We were up at Tyax Resort in the Chilcoltins there, and the seaplane was coming in to land on the lake. And I wanted them at the end of the dock and catching the plane right as it, right before it touches down or right as it touches down to get the spray. And I was so focused on the plane that I didn't realize I had zoomed right between them. And I got a photo of just the plane. It was awesome. But it's one of those moments, you missed it. It's not coming back.
Yeah.
And you just kind of laugh and you just move on.
You have to.
What's been your favorite project so far, like that you've done?
I think like I do truly love the event shoots. It's just a collaboration, like where it's kind of set up for you. You go to document it, and there's something nice about that. But I honestly believe like the more kind of grassroots stuff I do, just being here with like friends in Squamish, hanging out, shoot, like, I don't know, a lot of my good friends here, like I said, just seem to be excellent riders. I think it's part of the course here. So yeah, just going out, hanging out, just experimenting, because at events you don't necessarily, sometimes you just have to get the shot. You can't practice or try something super creative. Maybe it's not what the brands want. Maybe it's just inappropriate. And yeah, I like to be able to just experiment and get a bit weird in the forest with the photography, just mix it up a bit. So a project I did last fall, like through to winter, it was just, foggy, misty mornings, snow on the ground with one photograph. Like we cleared a jump with a blowtorch, snow on the ground, rider hits it. And yeah, they've been some of the most like well-received photographs just because they're different and there was no pressure there. It was, you could just play around and have fun.
I want to ask you about your process. Mm-hmm. So for your personal work, so we'll kind of go personal work into brand work, because I get questions from people about connecting with brands, and I've been just lucky. I don't really have a theory. I don't shoot action sports. For myself, when I'm out walking around or going on a bike ride, I'm always looking for photo opportunities. When you're out in Squamish, if people, again, don't know Squamish, look up the trails and the riding levels that Squamish has, and you'll understand what I mean with my question. When you're out looking around, like, can you picture a stunt, a section of trail, and put one of your friends or one of the riders you work with into that light instantly? Or do you just pick a section and then try to get someone just to come out and ride it so you can start to work on it? Like, what is your process when you set up a shoot? It's
usually the first. So like, either people will reach out to me with an idea. It's kind of 50-50. That happens 50% of the time. And then the other 50, I'm walking around on trails which I know have like particularly steep or nice granite, photogenic sections of forest, etc. And sometimes I'll see a slab or a rock or somewhere where I could build a feature and think, okay, I can visualize the rider on that. And sometimes it works. Sometimes I've put effort into build something to take a photograph and the rider's absolutely a-okay with riding it. And other times I built something and they're just like, you're out of your mind. Like, what are you thinking? We're not riding this. So, there's an element of why I try to mountain bike as much as I can as well. So I can see if I'm realistic with what I want to shoot sometimes.
Fully get that. And then when you have that, do you picture, like, do you use artificial light? Do you use just strobes when you shoot things? Or do you try to just capture it in the perfect natural light, which sometimes is hard to come by on the west coast of Canada?
Yeah, I guess in general, if I think about it, the more kind of open, clear-cut areas, or views of mountains, places where the forest opens up, ideally use natural light. Shoot at golden hour in the evenings, in the mornings, more so in the evenings it seemed to be. But actually on singular features in, say, the denser forest, as much as I can, I will try to set up off-camera flashes. We shot a quarter pipe up a tree the other day with a good friend of mine, Austin, and I had like an off-camera flash up high in the tree looking down with a climbing rope. I had another off-camera flash to backlight on a tripod behind, and very, very dependent on like fire conditions, I have smoke grenades. So if there's not that natural fog, I'll crack a smoke grenade, have someone hold it. It fills the scene with fake smoke or fog, and then, yeah, you get the shot you want. So in the forest, generally, I'll improvise and create the light, but in the open, yeah, try to keep it as natural as possible.
I love the fact that you implement you want to make it moody. You want to bring in that fog, whether there's fog there or not. I feel like that really adds to the scene, especially being you're in the deep forest. Mm-hmm. But yes, follow all fire conditions and bylaws. Nothing was broken here.
Only in the winter do I crack those out. So.
And then when you're shooting, do you like to shoot fisheye, primes, zooms?
I think, yeah, so my set in general, I only have 2 primes. I have 2 fisheyes, a mega telefocal lens, and then a few kind of intermediary ones. I think for whatever reason, maybe it's just what looks good to my eye, I've gravitated more to kind of wider fish. I say fisheye, the lens I use most is a 10mm rectilinear, so it doesn't actually have that fisheye effect. But that seems to be what appeals to me more, because it's just a bit different. And I do sometimes struggle creatively to get a shot that I think stands out with, say, a 70mm or a 110mm. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and people do excellent work with those lenses. It's just personally I struggle to get creative with those.
Yeah, I'm shooting a skateboard project this winter. Mm-hmm. Using the lighting company that I work with, they offer their high-end lights are battery powered as well as plug-in. So I want to get a really nasty rainy or snowy evening and light up lee side and capture it on an 8mm fisheye. So as like the homage to the original back in, the 80s in skateboard and thrasher and trans world, the way they would capture them. Just trying to do something neat to, one, finish a project that I've been wanting to finish for 4 years. But 2 is just to kind of pay respects to those before me.
Absolutely.
And to know that you're using, I don't know if people realize, like a 10mm lens on a full frame body is, you got to be pretty close to the action.
So close.
Yeah.
So close. Hazardously close sometimes.
Yeah. Have you had any awesome run-ins?
I've had some very close shaves. Yeah. Some extremely close shaves where in my naivety, I plonk myself in a spot where I'm like, yeah, this is good. And sometimes it's not. And I have to duck and roll into the bush. This happened.
Part of the job, right?
Danger pay.
Yeah. When you work with a brand, like how do you go about reaching out to brands? I feel like with this new segment, I really want to help people who like it's something they really love to shoot, but they aren't quite sure what to do. And I mean, I always feel like there's room in the community for everyone because everybody shoots different.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when you try to work with a brand, what is the process with that?
Well, in my personal experience, like I haven't had too much results in going direct to brand. The way that maybe other photographers have experienced a similar kind of story arc here, but I have shot with local athletes. I have this little rule, and it's a very personal thing. I don't know if other photographers share this. If I shoot riders in the local area for personal stuff, they want to have a print on their wall or they want to put something on their socials, I don't charge for that. I'm more than happy to go out and just like, if they're stoked with photos and they're going to use it for their own enjoyment, I just go out and do it. I love it that much. If, however, that athlete is, say, on a brand, and that brand really like the photo and they want to use it for their advertising or their marketing, say, I will then respectfully ask that they contact me to talk about remittance or some sort of payment there. So that has seemed to work well for me personally. And as a result of that, like, the brands have some brands have realized that I do have these relationships with their riders. So then now they will message me and they'll be like, hey, there's this event, this person's doing it. Like, can you cover them? And we'll figure it out. So yeah, I've figured that the best course of action for myself was just to go through the athletes to the brands, as opposed to just like cold calling the brand with an email like, this is my portfolio. You don't particularly know who I am, but let's work together.
That's a super good way to build that relationship. And I think that's another important avenue for people to understand is sometimes you can't just hit it direct. Mm-hmm. You have to build that relationship. You have to build that trust, and then they start to know who you are. They start to see your work, and they're like, okay, let's give them a shot. And it kind of works in that favor. You ever had any trouble with brands not want to use your image but don't want to pay you?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
it's.
I'm actually in a fight right now with the Fort Langley Jazz Festival. Mm-hmm. I went to Google search a image I took of this old Chevy pickup just because I couldn't remember what year it was, and all of a sudden I see my image in the Google search. I'm like, what? That's my photo, and I clicked it, and they're using it in their advertisement to advertise Fort Langley.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait a minute, there's 4 of my photos in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to always, I would always tag my photos with my brand and my name. And I realized they had cut it out. My watermark was gone.
Ooh, that's a bit naughty.
And I was like, all you had to do was ask. I would have let you use them.
Mm-hmm.
But you not only took them, you've now cut off any indicator. You haven't mentioned me in the photos, but you're using it to sell this huge event in this town and talking about community and all this stuff, but you stole from me.
Yeah.
So I had to fire off the please remove or I'll be forced to take further action. And like,
you don't want to do it, but you absolutely are in your right and have to.
Yep. We have to protect our work.
Yeah.
Because if we don't respect it enough, we're going to run into issues.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of, on the flip side, does feel like a disrespect to yourself, because no doubt when you went to that event and showcased it, like, you put your all into it. You took skill sets that you'd learned from years and years of photography. It's not just like you turned up and you had no clue. Like, you've invested time and money into yourself, and for that to be like not returned, it is a bit of a kick,
Yeah. Or well, you'll get exposure.
Yeah, how does that conversation go when you ask your landlord if you can pay rent through social media exposure? Not well.
Yeah, you'll be like, hey, I got thousands of likes on this photo. Yeah. Does that pay my rent? I was lucky. I got to go speak to a photo 9-10 majors course at our local fine arts school. And when I was talking to them, I was like, it's so important. As an artist, we are always the most hypercritical of ourselves, our skills, our abilities. But the biggest thing we can never do is give our art away for free. Yeah. We have to value ourselves enough to know we're worth what we ask for. I sent out proposals this year to get some financial sponsors for the show because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do this. And, I work full time still. I have my own work I'm doing. Plus, so it takes about 8 hours from the time I reach out to someone, record it, edit it, post it, write the intro. So it's a lot of work. And I put it out there with this number, and I looked at the number. I'm like, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. But I know what my value is, and I know what I can bring to a brand. So sometimes you just have to believe in yourself enough to go for it.
Yeah. I think you made a really good point about like creators being the most hypercritical, because I feel like always in the back of your mind, it doesn't matter how confident you are in what you do. You're like, well, if I don't take this opportunity, then someone else is going to, and they'll run with it and So you kind of sometimes find yourself selling yourself cheap just because you want to have that opportunity. And I don't know, it's a strange dynamic. It's a story old as time, I think, with creatives. Yeah.
Have you ever reached out to a brand with a price like you were just like, you know what, I'm just going to hit them with this number and they'll come back with something and that'll be cool. That'll be exactly what I actually wanted, but I'm just going to try.
Yeah.
Do you ever do that?
Sometimes, like, I guess initially my price was fairly arbitrary, and I've refined it now to something that, like, taking an average of what I need to live and kind of condensing that into the amount of work, say, I get per month. I've come up with a amount that I charge. And sometimes, yeah, I'll send it off and the brand's like, oh, this isn't really within our budget. And there's negotiations that happen. But then other times I send it to someone, they're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should charge more. I don't know.
It's one of those things. I mean, when you feel it's your job, this is what you do. This is what pays your bills. This is what covers your rent and your food, your fun times, your car. Like, you have to budget it. You have to treat it like a business.
Yeah.
You know, so I always find like when you send out a price and they come back and it's really low, it's like the biggest slap in the face. Mm-hmm. And I try so hard not to let it bug me, and I'm just like, oh, that's what I'm worth to you.
Yeah. I like one thing, and it just came to my mind, like, biggest piece of advice I try to give anybody, because I've seen it with a lot of friends. I've seen it with my partner. She's like a fantastic video editor, and she used to be freelance. And it's just like you come up against so many walls sometimes, and you get successes, you get losses, and it can really drain on people. And some people just say enough's enough and they move on to something, a consistent 9 to 5, which I completely respect and understand. And it's just like being persistent, I guess, like taking those knocks, taking the wins, averaging it out and just keep trucking. I found that, like, just remaining in the scene and being present and trying to do the best work you can has worked in my favor. I'm definitely, like, by no means made it. But I feel like I'm on the right track just by keep on trying.
And that's something I've learned by talking to yourself and a whole bunch of other people who are in the same space as you over the last couple of weeks here, is even when your images are used and you're seen and you have this following and this presence in the industry, you're still busting your ass behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. There's no quit. There's no stop. There's no resting on the laurels or of the last image you got published. You're still working. And I think people have the misconception that when you make it, quote unquote, you're on, you know, you have big brands hitting you up. You're doing brand shoots. You're being able to go to these huge events. They think like, oh, everybody must just call them. And in reality, you're setting up your own schedule. You're reaching out to brands to try to get some financial support so you can make it to events. You're doing all this other work, but no one sees that side. No, everybody thinks you're in the glamour zone now.
Yeah, that's a good way.
How hard is it when you have an event in mind, and not talking like your Pink Bike stuff, because getting connected with Pink Bike, that's congratulations. That's amazing. But when you had to do it yourself, so when you were trying to plan your schedule, how hard was it to set that up? Like when you started looking at prices, so flights, you know, room, food, and all the time it's going to take for you to do these events. How did you put that into play? How did you put that together?
I guess it was just like, I just had these desires and these, like, I wanted to tick off these bucket list events to go shoot. And I wasn't established enough, and still feel personally that, like, I'm not established enough to just, like you said, be in that glamour zone and get stuff, opportunities just thrown at you. So it was a lot of personal money for, you know, time in Utah, the Rampage, the perfect example last year, the flights, car rentals. I got very, very fortunate with accommodations. The Anthill team let me stay in their property with them because I was in the back of my car. Like, it wouldn't have been sustainable long term, but I knew that I needed this stuff as a portfolio piece. So cost was kind of irrelevant at that point. It was, yeah, you put yourself out a lot financially in a Hail Mary that sometime in the future, maybe it will be returned to you.
That was perfect, because that's the part that I think a lot of people miss, is sometimes we have to spend the money with the faith in ourselves that it's going to be worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can have that faith that your work is good enough, you're good enough, you can make it happen. The next part of the show is always the connection between your creativity and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at the camera as a saving grace in my life. It came into my hands at a point where I was probably at the lowest I've ever been. I was looking for something to refuel that spark that I used to get from skateboarding or from mountain biking and being able to ride at a high level, where before all the injuries was easy. My brain still thinks the same way. My body, on the other hand, does not react like it used to. So, I was looking for a spark. I was looking for something. I was super depressed. My anxiety was through the roof. I had struggled to even get out of the house. I'd wake up in the morning having to pep talk myself to go to work. And I picked up the camera, and then, fast forward, I was shooting, and I figured out long exposure water, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm going to continue. But then COVID happened, and I was off. I was working for Giant Bicycles at the time. I was off for 3 months because this was the beginning when no one knew what COVID was doing. We didn't know what was going to happen. So, the government was like, shut her down. If you're not comfortable at work, don't go. Here we'll help you out. And so I was like, okay, cool. Here we go. Started walking in the forest every single day from about 6 a.m. until 1 p.m. for 3 months straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then every time I clicked the shutter, I was like, oh, that felt like the first time I made it down a hill on a skateboard, like the same kind of excitement.
That's really cool.
And then you capture a really, really powerful image, and you're like, okay. And then it slowly worked into where the Feist name came from, is photography heals your soul.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually started as a fixed gear bicycle brand called Pedal Harder, You Sissy. So my best friend and I, we started it many, many years ago, hoping to take advantage of our love of fixed gears and the fixed gear boom at the time. But we didn't have any money, so we couldn't really do much. But I love the name. The name's important to me, so I wanted to figure out how to incorporate it into the next chapter, which is this show. So for you, what's the connection you have to your creative outlet?
Yeah, it's very similar to yourself. Definitely during COVID, I took a bit of a dive. It was a lot to do with social media, truth be told. It always has been for me personally, social media. If I have a week where I'm not necessarily out shooting, and then I see other people out shooting and taking dream images, things that I'd love to take, I get this weird, why aren't you doing it? What's wrong with you? They're working hard on you, and it's just so irrational and just tormenting to yourself unnecessarily. And I feel like exactly how you explained, once you just get away from it, you get out in the forest, you're with people in your community, you're with friends. It's strange. You take a shot, you look through the viewfinder, and you're like, oh yeah, this is great. I get a bigger dopamine rush from that than I ever have done on a mountain bike. It's bizarre. It's weird how our stories are very connected in that sense. And
yeah.
Do
you ever have moments? So people laugh at me. So I'll set up a scene, and you click the shutter, and then you look at the back of the camera, and you just want to fist pump because you're like, yeah, I nailed it. And it's funny because I get so excited.
Oh yeah.
I just love it. I love knowing as soon as you push that shutter button that, damn, I nailed exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you see a line when you're out there and you're like, okay, if I can nail the bike at this angle, the person turning this direction, you must get it quite often when you're firing away and you're like, oh, I got it. That must be such a rush.
Yeah, I've had a few funny moments where I've taken a shot which I am over the moon with, and I'm waiting for the rider to return from where they've just hit this feature to me to come look at it, And turns out I didn't know this about myself, but I'm a hugger. So I get really excited. You get all these like really cool mountain bike dudes and girls. They want to come down, give you a fist bump, give you like a dap. And they raise their arm, and I just seem to go in for a hug. And it's just like, I'm so ecstatic about what I've just seen. I've had a few funny moments where, yeah, I've given people awkward hugs just because I'm too excited.
That's amazing. But that's cool. That means like it means so much to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sport just means so much to you. You're right there in the action. You just captured something that you were just blown away by, and that you're just running in the moment. There's no like, should I, shouldn't I? You just naturally did it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's important that everybody knows that everybody compares themselves to someone else. We see photos, and the chosen profession of being a photographer, we're looking at other people's photos, and I used to always be like, my photo's better than that. Why isn't it getting the same love? Mm-hmm. And in I had a really bad illness in October of last year, put me in the hospital for 4 weeks, actually almost killed me. And from a saddle sore, a 2.5 millimeter saddle sore.
Okay.
Yeah, I got staph and strep infection that took over my whole leg from my hip to my ankle.
That's gnarly. Sorry to hear that.
And it came in, and within 24 hours, I was nothing to 100 in 24 hours. And I've had thousands of saddle sores. I've been riding bikes most of my life, right? So it was nothing at first. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, we got another one. I got caught in the rain wearing jeans, commuting home from work. Just a silly, stupid mistake on my part. But when I was in there, I was like, man, I got more time behind me than I have ahead of me. So it's time now that I realize, like, I'm just going to be confident in what I do. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to congratulate and lift those around me up. And I'm just going to enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How do you find like in your chosen field, do you find like there's like a community, or do you still feel you're like yourself being somewhat new in it? Do you still feel like you have to be competitive against everybody?
It's an interesting question, because initially, for whatever reason, when I first started, I did have this competitive edge, whether that was ego or a desire to just get good really quick. I don't know what it was, but eventually I realized that it wasn't serving me well. Absolutely wasn't, because I was comparing myself constantly to people. And then I saw it with like friends, like I said, some friends that didn't choose to persist in photography. They were putting down the camera because they didn't think their imagery was good, or they couldn't understand why they weren't getting certain gigs, and they just assumed it's because what they're doing isn't up to scratch and there's other people better, so why bother trying? And I was very, very cognizant of that. And as much as I can do now, like, I have no competitive edge regarding photography. I'll go out and shoot with anyone. If like people want to ask me questions, I'm an open book. Like, I've never gatekept anything. I never will. It's maybe from a business standpoint, not good. Giving away opportunities might not be financially good for me, but that's never really I've never been money driven. So I'd much rather just have a great community of close friends that respect me and I respect them. And I just try to like big up friends and just keep them going, because if they truly love it, it's so good for their mental health. Just stop comparing yourself to others and just do it because you love it. If you like your images, and the best feeling for me is when I've taken a photo of a friend and they've printed it out and put it on their desk at work. Like, I know I've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. It's such a true moment. So when I was shooting this wedding, I was at the breakfast, and I was talking to the groom's mom,
Mm-hmm.
and she starts looking at my social media, and she's like, "Oh, I love what you shoot." I was like, "Oh, thank you. That means a lot. I don't usually shoot people, so this is weird for me." And then the groom messages me, and he's like, "Hey, my mom wants to buy a print." And I was like, "What? Really?" So I printed it and delivered it. And she's so excited about it. She's like, "This will have a prominent place in our house." Like, What? Okay. That's super cool. Like it reminds you that when you shoot for you and you just capture what you feel and love, that someone else is going to see exactly what you saw and why you caught that moment.
Yeah.
And they're going to want it. And it's on their wall. It's in their house, so there's no better feeling than that. Like you were saying.
It's one regret, which I obviously had no say in this whatsoever, but I wish I would have been involved in mountain biking at an age where I could have witnessed like just print before digital. It's an unfortunate way that I feel now creatives have to almost share their work, and it's very fleeting. It's compressed. It's just not the same. But when you see something printed out, it's a wow moment for sure.
It was definitely a weird change going from where, in skateboarding, it would be once a year a brand would release a video that had all the bangers in it, all the crazy things, to now I can go on Instagram and I can watch the most insane stuff in a reel that's 30 seconds long every day. I used to wait for, what mountain bike action and dirt and decline to show up. And you'd look through it and then you'd have to figure out how they did it because you knew the video of it wouldn't be out for 6 months. Mm-hmm. Right. So you always had this to be a detective kind of when you were looking at the image. You're like, okay, how do you do it? And you try to figure it out that way. And then you watch the video and knew you were completely wrong in the way you thought about it. But it gave you something to go after.
Yeah.
Last night, I was actually talking to Ben Tobin. Ben was one of the original photographers for Decline and happens to be like my childhood friend. We grew up in Oregon together.
Sick.
And then we reconnected. I mean, I left Oregon in 89, so I reconnected with him like 15 years ago just by chance on Facebook. And now he lives in Spokane, Washington, and captures the city in his unique style. And I just love to see it. So his story is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So I share, a lot of these stories all have a personal meaning, right? Like we share an interest in photography. Sounds like we've had some pretty similar experiences behind the camera, but we share a love for mountain biking and the outdoors and building community and using our outlet for our mental health.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any words of advice for people just getting started?
I feel like I truly stand by that persistence. Like, it's not going to be an easy journey, and just start off with fundamentals. I can only speak specifically for action sports. I would be a liar if I said I understood different forms of photography, like I do mountain biking. But just find something that you're truly passionate about, that it never feels like a chore for you to go out and do it. You want to proactively do it as much as you can. Learn the fundamentals, and then eventually you'll just create your own style. And, if you don't get 1,000 likes on your photo, it doesn't mean anything. It does not mean it's a bad photo whatsoever. There are no bad photos. It's subjective, right? So I just say, just make sure you do it for the right reasons to enjoy it. Maybe that's terrible advice, but
I actually think it's wise words. As someone who's working in the field right now, it's advice that people need to hear, because you hit it right on the head. Subjective. Art is subjective. Some of the greatest photographers that I know don't even have social media. They have a website, mm-hmm. and they still carry business cards. So they hand out business cards. They're like, oh, here's my website, not their Instagram, not their Facebook. It's a true website. So just having faith in your ability, have a faith in your skill set, and just have fun.
Yeah. Bottom line, have fun.
Anybody you would need a shout out or anything towards the end here? And then where's the best place for people to find you?
I guess I'm not going to name everybody, but just a shout out to, I said a very similar thing at the Deep Summer, and I still stand by it. Thank you to everybody that's giving me the time of day. Like the athletes and the riders and the friends that come out to shoot with me, when rain or shine. My wonderful fiance that has been my rock through good and bad. She persists to keep me going, and just the community is pretty awesome, and definitely will remain a part of it for a long time. I like where it's going and hope it proceeds to continue that way. I guess socials, my Instagram is just my name, Joe Wakefield. I have a website, jbwphotos.ca, which is a portfolio. It has a few other sort of imageries from different aspects of photography. But yeah, I guess that would be it really, without going into too specific.
How was your experience with Deep Summer?
It was fantastic. It was so cool. Hectic, no doubt about that. 72 hours and trying to cram it all in. But there was something unique about like time limited forced creativity. It was, it set a precedent that I don't believe anything will be as stressful as that going forward, but we're yet to see.
Oh man. I always forget that they do that Deep Summer event. Who were you working with?
Oh, I had like 10 riders. It was, without the riders themselves, like I couldn't have organized it whatsoever. Couple local coaches, it was a mix 50-50, male, female. Yeah, just local shredders, coaches, people that guide. Yeah, it was a cool bunch,
Nice.
cool bunch. But yeah, I guess as well, I just want to like extend a thank you to you. And maybe no one said this to you yet, but you have the perfect podcast voice.
I appreciate that. I've heard it. I've heard it quite often, and it's funny. It's one of those things where it used to bother me when people would mention it, because I'm like, this isn't about me. It's about you. But now I want to do voiceover work. I want to do ads for brands. I want to utilize the voice that I have, that, people like it. So let's figure out how to make it work. Same thing that you're doing with your photos. I want to do with my voice. I want to capture, and I got to use everything I've learned about photography and the setbacks and all of that to make it happen. So it'd be cool. Like, I mean, my goal now, I became a dad at 20 years old. I'm now 50, and I've worked really, really hard my whole life to provide. My youngest son is now 21. And like, I've worked so hard to provide the life they have, the house, everything else that they want, that they ever wanted. You just work to make it happen. And now I'm taking that change. I'm doing the step back. I'm not working extra hours at work. I'm not willing to sacrifice my own goals for somebody else's company. So now I'm like, okay, well, I'm cool. I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to really just start to build my brand. Over the last 2 years, it's been an incredible journey.
That's great to hear.
I've shared so many amazing stories with amazing people. I've created friendships all over the world. People have been like yourself. They've just been amazing to talk to. It's inspiring for people to hear your story, because, there could be an 8-year-old who looks at your photos and is just so amped. He tells his mom and dad, can I get a camera? I want to capture photos like Joe.
Wouldn't that be cool?
No, it's a true fact. It probably happens. And the thing I think that's incredible is your story is one that you tell people from the heart, like, hey, like, love your work, love yourself, have faith in your ability, and you're going to make it, without being like, yeah, I'm better than so-and-so. That was the attitude in the 90s. Oh, I'm better than him. Why'd he get the job? No, I'm better. Now it's like you get that support from everybody. Everybody's really hyped when you get a job that everybody bids on, but you got it. They're just jazzed for you. Right. And that's what I think super cool about these. Can you even call it a niche sport anymore? It's pretty damn huge. Just keep up the good work, man.
I appreciate that a lot. And yourself, like, I wish you the best with it. It seems like you're on a great trajectory with it. So, oh, that sounds wicked. I appreciate the effort for that.
Oh man, it's just fun, dude. Like, I want to see you succeed. I'm a fan. I can't wait to see what you come up with. And if you're doing anything that you're looking to get some extra like promotion with, I got no problems helping you out.
That's awesome. And likewise.
I just want to build community. My whole thing is building community. I want to see everybody be successful doing what they love to do, without having that infighting and backstabbing that used to come with everything.
Yeah, I've definitely I've had some cold shoulders, and I've met some well, I'm not going to name names, but like old school, been around for a long time photographers, and they're hardy people. Like there's not room for too many people.
Which is so crazy to me. Like you hear these stories about like it's like being a surfer and being like told you can't surf a wave. Right. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you own the ocean now? But there was trails in the North Shore in the early 90s. Like if they caught you on them, they would do the same thing.
Really?
In the late 80s, skateboarding in Vancouver, there was the Jacks. They were cool dudes, but there were certain spots that were their spots. So when I moved here, people are like, don't go skate there. They'll get you. And I was like, that makes zero sense to me. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm just going to go. And I went there and I ended up becoming friends with a whole bunch of them.
As it usually seems to happen, right? When you're just like a good dude, it usually works out.
Just having fun. But yeah, you know what? One of these days I'd love to come and shoot some action sports with you, get some pointers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'd love that.
And I want to start doing some behind the scenes, day in the life type videos.
It's something I desperately want to come down to North Shore more. Like I haven't shot there a lot. The fog you get is like next level. So I'm so down for coming.
All right, man. Well, let's make it happen.
Isn't it funny? Like in every discipline of creativity, everyone always needs to start with some sort of hook. If it's a banger photo, cool song, like you're always consciously thinking about like grabbing that attention. You have to, right?
You can't stop because I talk to myself a lot. You know, you take that shot. I'm like, oh, that was the best shot I've ever taken. Oh, that shot sucked. But I want to capture those moments because those are real, true to life moments that are happening right now.
Yeah, it's the story. It's passive media you're creating, but it is the true story behind what's really going on.
And I think true, authentic, behind the scenes is where everybody is headed. Mm-hmm. Getting away from trying to be elaborate, trying to like, this episode of the show is sponsored by Rapid Remover. You know, like it's just, I would rather hear the true story of you. And that's why I created this platform.
Yeah. If it's any consolation, like I don't know if you want me to keep speaking much, but
everything's evolving into a way of everybody being able to be supportive of one another, especially now. The climate in the world is crazy. Mm-hmm. And for me to be able to do the show and still connect with people, you know, that are doing things that I'm passionate about, you know, and we have a great conversation. Like that didn't feel like an hour.
I can't believe it was an hour.
Like it flies by. You know, you have your middle, your beginning, your end, and you fill it in as you go. But then these little parcels of the show come out because you're like, okay, I remember this. And you talk about it and it's a natural flow. And when I edit, I try not to mess with natural flow. Mm-hmm. And the reason I do that is because I feel like it portrays a proper conversation. So you'll hear a podcast where somebody's taken a part that's in the middle and moved it to like right at the beginning or way to the end. But the flow's different because you're starting to get tired as you're halfway through. But then all of a sudden you put this part of excitement at the end and you're like, I don't get it. It didn't sound natural. It was kind of off. People's faces tell stories. Mm-hmm. And if you focus on the face, I mean, you could have people that are the same height, the same weight, the same everything, but their face will tell completely different stories.
Absolutely.
That's super sick. I like that. All right, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. It's weird, man. Like I can talk forever. I'm super confident doing it, but as soon as you were like, we're recording, I had this like pit in my stomach. I was like, oh God.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Ice podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you insight, inspiration, or just a fresh perspective on the creative journey. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. For updates, behind-the-scene content, and more, please follow us on all social medias at LIFE_OF_PHYS. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and resources from today's episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep living the life of creativity.